Now, October is the olive harvest season for Palestinians in the occupied West Bank, but Israeli settler attacks have been increasing, scaring farmers and much, much more. Let's take a look at what has happened in just a single week here. Between October the 7th and the 13th, Israeli settlers carried out at least 71 attacks against Palestinians. At least one was killed and a further 99 were injured. Half of the assaults targeted olive harvests, a crucial source of income for Palestinian families, affecting some 27 villages. Israeli settlers dug up more than 1,400 fully grown olive trees and saplings, and in the past 5 harvest seasons, settler attacks have surged, with more than 200 incidents recorded last year, and that's almost double the number recorded in 2023 and 3 times higher than the figure for 2022. Nida Ibrahim reports.
Oh, come on, don't hit her! Hey!
Don't hit her, he yells.
Hey!
But the man does.
Hey!
This is an Israeli settler beating Palestinian farmers in the occupied West Bank village of Turmusai.
Hey! Hey!
An American journalist filmed the attack, documenting what has become a daily horror during the olive harvest season. 53-year-old Afaf Abu Alayya suffered a brain hemorrhage from the assault. This scene repeats itself, one village at a time. Israeli settlers storming Palestinian land, usually armed. They're emboldened by Israeli forces who often allow them to carry out their assaults. For years, settlers have attacked during the harvest season in the occupied West Bank. Now, they're more organized, more systematic. Barely a harvesting journey goes by without a settler attack. They torch vehicles, beat farmers, destroy the fruit and the trees, sometimes steal.
The attack started with around 10 settlers, but more kept joining. I think by the end there were 40 protected by the army. We were outnumbered, we couldn't defend ourselves.
International activists who come to help are not spared either. This year, Palestinians renewed the call for activists to join their harvest, hoping for some protection and to expose the violence. And that's why Israel is deporting them, they say. Israeli forces accuse 30 activists assisting Palestinian farmers in Burin near Nablus of working in a closed military zone, an accusation the activists deny. For Palestinians, the message is clear: leave or face further violence.
Every year they come and they burn it or, take it out from the roots, at least 5 years in a row. That's what they did. And finally, they took the land and they put their settlers in it.
Olives mean income, but for Palestinians, this isn't just about the trees. It's about the land itself. Despite the beatings, the arson, the threats, many have returned to their groves. Because not harvesting means surrendering their land. And that's exactly what the settlers want. Nida Ibrahim, Al Jazeera.
Joining us from northern Ramallah in the occupied West Bank is Jasper Nathaniel. He's an independent journalist and writer of the Infinite Jaz newsletter on Substack. Now, in Nida's report we had images which really were rather reminiscent of Ku Klux Klan lynchings, if you like, during the times of segregation in the US.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's a lynch mob we're talking about yesterday.
Now, Nathaniel, why is it getting worse?
Well, good question. I mean, it started getting worse in early 2023, actually. So even before October 7th, and that was a result of the right-wing government in Israel. Basically, Smotrich, who's the finance minister and a far right-winger and a settler himself, installed himself to be in charge of West Bank governance. And he basically empowered settlers, stripped away all their guardrails, removed any accountability. And so from then on, the settlers have become more violent. Settlement building has expanded. And after October 7th, of course, they were able to operate under the cover of the genocide in Gaza. And it's just getting worse and worse now because of all these things.
Is there any justice ever for the Palestinians?
Well, no, there tends not to be, of course. I mean, a couple months ago, a famously violent settler named Yinan Levy shot Auda Hatalin to death in El Khair. 19 of the villagers were arrested, and Yinan Levy was back in the village doing illegal construction the next week. The impulse is to think nobody will be arrested for what happened yesterday, but I'm actually not willing to accept that. And the people that I've spoken to in the village today agree. So there's not a good history of settlers being held accountable, but it should not be so hard to identify the man who clubbed that woman. And I know I and a lot of other people will not leave it alone.
How do these settlers justify these acts?
Well, I think on an ideological level, if you listen to what the leaders of the settlement movement say, it's, they believe that they have a God-given right to the land of what they call Judea and Samaria. It's based on the writing of the Old Testament and the old kingdoms of Israel. Having said that, lots of civilizations passed through the West Bank. The Israelis were not the first. They're clearly not the last. There are lots of Palestinians who live there right now. So that is the sort of, biblical justification. On a political level, they now will sort of talk about the settlements in the West Bank as if it's a protective buffer for the rest of Israel. So they sometimes call it the settlements Israel's bulletproof vest. Every time there's an attack like this, like the one we saw yesterday, settlers will immediately come out and say that they were actually under threat. Somebody threw a rock at them. Although I haven't heard anything like that from yesterday. I mean, I think that, yesterday's attack was particularly brazen and violent. So it's hard. I have not heard any good defense of it, to be frank, or any defense of it, to be frank.
Jasper, what intimidation have you yourself encountered?
Oh, it's constant. 2 days before yesterday, I was just a couple towns over in Al Mazrah Al Sharqiya, where I'm staying right now. We went to a mountain like the one I was on yesterday, where Saifullah Musalet, a Palestinian American, was beaten to death in July by settlers. The villagers there have not been able to get to their land all year. So a group of people who own land there and myself decided to give it a try. Took just a few minutes before a group of the Hilltop youth settlers just emerged from the hills carrying huge metal rods and surrounded our car, tried to block us from being able to get out. The week before that, I was in a completely other town, El Khair, which is where a settler killed somebody a couple months ago, like I mentioned. There, the settlers just walk around with machine guns. They will just walk right through the village. They're not actively menacing, like threatening you the way that the settlers around here are, but their constant presence, they're constantly building on their land. It's a different form of threat, and that they are capable of violence, and they will kill you if they want to. Yesterday, it was about as plain as it gets. Within the first 5 minutes, there was a man holding a gun standing in the middle of the street, staring at us. So it's a pretty direct threat, I think.
Jasper, thank you so much for joining us. Jasper Nathaniel there, joining us there from northern Ramallah.
Thank you.
Don't miss out to get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insight. Like, share, stay ahead.